Hey everybody, Coach Tonya here, holistic health practitioner with Critical Bench. And in this video, I want to talk a bit about Alzheimer's and nutrition. So if this is something near and dear to your heart, something you have questions about, or maybe there's somebody in your life that has been diagnosed, or you're dealing with someone, a loved one with Alzheimer's, stay tuned. Okay, so Alzheimer's and nutrition. This is a topic that is pretty near and dear to my heart, and something that I put a lot of time into looking into, and reading up on research, buying lots of books, finding out as much as I can about the latest trends, the latest studies, what new information is becoming available. When we get into topics that involve the brain and mental function, it's such a huge, vast territory of like uncharted measures, really. Our brain is a very complicated piece of equipment. It has tremendous power and potential beyond what we've even tapped into and what we're beginning to learn about it and understand about it. So when it comes to dealing with illness or disease, or anything that compromises cognitive and mental function, anything that we can do that can help us to improve health or slow the progression of decline is definitely something worth taking in, learning more about, and finding more about. Now, we all know that healthy nutrition, good nutrition, making good choices is it's good for us. So again, and you're going to get tired if you watch my videos, you're going to get tired of hearing a lot of the same sentences, a lot of the same phrases, but they are what they are. Anything that we do that is good for our body, whether that's physical fitness, meditation, but the things that we choose to do that are quality choices, healthy, whole food, really good, solid nutrition, physical activity, the ability to cope with and manage stress. All those things that bring health, fitness, wellness, and balance into our life is good for us holistically. When we talk about our entire body, everything's connected. This isn't just a bunch of separate parts that each operate independently of each other. Everything's connected. So what we do for our bodies, what we take into our bodies, affects everything. And if the choices are good and healthful, it benefits the whole package. But for this video, I want to narrow the focus down to nutrition and its connection with Alzheimer's. And primarily, is there a connection? Is there the possibility of altering or changing our diet, nutrition, adopting a specific way of eating that can have a profound impact on Alzheimer's ability to progress rather rapidly? Now, Alzheimer's is something that there isn't like some status quo, like if you're diagnosed at this age, by this age, this will be the amount of limited function or decline. There's really no set progression. It varies from person to person. And so with that, it's not like you can make a prescription. And I'm very leery, not necessarily leery, but I'm wary of sharing anything that claims to be a prevention or a cure. I'm much more open to discussing and sharing with you research, information, studies that have been done to show certain things that can be done to possibly help not necessarily prevent it from happening to you, but can definitely have a positive impact and lower your risk of Alzheimer's, or certainly slow down progression. Like nutrition, as far as food choices and diet, there are studies that do show us that there is some promise. There is really a lot of promise in that certain nutrition, healthy nutrition, really solid nutrition can help prevent premature aging of the brain. And so that is worth looking into, because none of us can avoid getting older. We are going to get older. Every year comes another birthday, and if you're still having birthdays, no matter what your age, you're very, very lucky, okay? So getting older is a gift and a privilege. But how do you want to grow older? Because getting older does not mean getting old. It doesn't mean you have to become a statistic. It doesn't mean that by a certain age, now you are faced with a life of sitting back and just waiting to see what old age diseases and ailments come into your life and hit you. That's not the case at all. our goals and needs and the things that we want to achieve as far as health, fitness, and wellness they definitely change as we progress in years, from our 20s to our 30s to our 40s and into our senior years. However, what we're choosing to do is going to change, because ultimately those choices can either have a positive impact or not. So why not be armed with the best possible information, make the best possible choices, and enjoy quality of life, longevity, and a state of wellness that's really fantastic. Now, it doesn't mean that I can't share with you, if you eat this one food, you will never get Alzheimer's, or it'll stop Alzheimer's, or it'll cure Alzheimer's. But there's definitely certain foods with certain nutrition value that have a massive impact on brain health. And that's what I want to talk with you a little bit about in this video. All right, so when it comes to nutrition, I'm not going to share with you in this next statement anything profound or that you haven't heard. Good nutrition is key. Now, good nutrition is key for anything, really. The better you eat, the better you feel. The better you feel, the more energy you have, the more you can do, the better your healing process is when you're hurt. So diet is key. And choosing healthy, high-density foods is one of the best things you can do. It doesn't mean you can't enjoy fun things, okay? I enjoy pizza and I enjoy chocolate. They're just not the baseline of what my diet consists of. My diet consists of whole, healthy foods and, eating regularly and not letting myself get too hungry and just making sure I'm fueling myself with the best possible choices. So diet is key, and there's a few things when we start talking about brain health and things like Alzheimer's and dementia that kind of go without saying, because even if we weren't discussing certain brain diseases or mental health that we just know aren't as good for us. For instance, avoiding tobacco. We know that smoking is not the best thing for our body. Smoking does like to kind of capture that oxygen in our systems, and our brains, our bodies, every cell in the body needs oxygen. So avoiding tobacco is huge. If you're a smoker, I would really like to encourage you to try quitting. I know it's not easy, but it's a very smart, very impactful choice you can make for your health. So avoiding tobacco, in particular with brain health, is something that you really do want to take very seriously. Another one is alcohol consumption. Now, there are lots of studies out there that will support, a glass of red wine. Some studies claim a day, others say, 2 to 3 glasses a week is actually a healthy choice, and that's because of the resveratrol that is in red grapes. It's not that red wine in and of itself is a health food, but there are elements present in red wine that are not necessarily all that bad. So it's not about drinking, it's about how much. So if you can have a glass of wine and enjoy that with your meal, or maybe it's after work or in the evenings watching a movie, great. If a glass quickly turns into a bottle or two every single night, that's a whole different issue. So avoiding the overconsumption of alcohol is what I will say. I don't know that saying avoid all alcohol is something that's, really a lot of people are going to take to heart. Some will, but limiting, monitoring, being aware, not abusing it, but socially enjoying a glass of wine or a drink is not going to kill you, but over-consuming to the point of abuse is going to have very detrimental health effects, and particularly on your brain. The other thing with Alzheimer's brain ailments is including really good oils. So things like nuts, seeds, fish. We know that the brain is largely fat, therefore it needs fat. So consuming healthy fats is something that you can include in your diet that's going to have a tremendous positive impact on your brain, on brain function, and on brain health. So get those healthy fats into your diet. And speaking of that, one of the diets, when I was doing research for this video, one of the diets that was very frequently reported, almost exclusively reported, along with some other ones, but this one showed up in any book I pulled, any report I pulled, any medical journal I pulled, all talked about how the Mediterranean diet is a very good choice in terms of a diet that promotes brain health, that actually helps in preventing premature aging of the brain. And largely that had to do with the fact that the Mediterranean diet is very high in healthy fats and oils. So those are a few things you want to think about. If you're not including some of the good parts of this into your diet, or if you're including high amounts of the not so great things, try making a switch. Now that doesn't mean you have to come home and throw the baby out with the bathwater. Just do it all at once. Pick one thing. If you know that you have a habit or a relationship with some sort of food or behavior that is compromising or could compromise brain health, then make that a focus, make that a goal. Work on that one thing to gradually wean it out, or have yourself doing it less. If this is something that you want to start being aware of and working towards better brain health. Okay, so when I was researching content for this video, I came across a small series that CBS News did a couple years ago about this topic. So I pulled up that information and I do want to share it with you. I am not sharing this with you as a follow these rules, but I do want to share it with you. I have my opinions as far as which parts of it I really strongly agree with, which parts of it I'm, could go either way. Because again, any and all information is good information. It's there for you to use and implement in your life the best way possible. Now again, if brain health and aging is something of a concern for you, if you have a loved one, family member, dear friend, somebody that has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's, or maybe you're a healthcare worker and this is your field, this is all, of value to you. And we are all going to get older. It doesn't mean that we're all going to get Alzheimer's or we're all going to get dementia or all going to be crippled over, but as we get older, the body changes. And just quite naturally, by default with the aging process, our memory doesn't become as sharp or as clear. It can be harder to remember things. However, diseases such as Alzheimer's and dementia are quite profound in just how much they affect that part of the brain. And can it be prevented? I don't have an answer for that. I don't know that it can be prevented. Can it be cured? Haven't heard or read anything about that yet. However, there are things that we can do as far as lifestyle to promote better brain health and possibly slow the progression of the disease, possibly. So a couple years back, CBS News did a short series on the brain, Alzheimer's, health, nutrition, and they reported on this diet called the MIND diet, and it consisted of 9 foods to eat to avoid Alzheimer's and 5 foods to avoid. So I'm going to go through those foods and list them for you. Both the ones that they claim you should include and those that you should avoid. And they are green leafy vegetables, number 1. Now, green leafy vegetables are good for you no matter what, right? Kale, spinach, all of those leafy greens are very good for you. They're chock full of minerals that your body needs. So you should be including them anyways in your diet. Other vegetables, particularly bright green, when you go to, whether it's a farmer's market or your grocery store, you want to fill up and stock up on bright green vegetables. That bright color is just evidence of the nutrition and the value that is in those foods. So throw those in your cart and get used to eating things like salads and steamed veggies. They taste great, they're good for you, they provide copious amounts of nutrition that your body needs. Nuts. Now, with respect to Alzheimer's and diet, nuts have a very high, healthy dose of oils. The brain is largely fat, therefore it needs fat. Nuts is one fantastic choice, food choice, to get those fats into your body. Berries. Blueberries, very dark colored berries, loaded with antioxidants. Again, not just for brain health. I mean, we are talking about brain health, but if you're kind of listening to the things that I'm saying that they're suggesting, these are just healthy foods anyways. So berries, whole grains, again, whole grains, nuts and seeds like that. Your scratchy breads, the breads that when you bite into them, you can feel all that texture because they're filled with nuts and seeds, and those nuts and seeds are filled with oil. Fish. Fish is a fantastic protein, and fish has, again, your omegas. It has all kinds of great fat in there that your brain needs. Poultry, lean protein. So they were promoting poultry as opposed to an other form of protein because it's leaner. Oils. So your olive oils, your avocado oils, coconut oils, healthy, high fats, but healthy. And they also included red wine, a glass of red wine a day, as far as a healthy nutritional choice. in terms of slowing that progression of Alzheimer's. Now, the 5 foods that they suggest you should avoid are red meat. Now, for those of you out there that are paleo and keto, you're probably don't like to hear that. Again, this is one group's suggestion based on what they researched, what they found, how they feel, okay? And I'm thinking that they're probably considering like red meats with lots and lots of fat on them, but they, their suggestion, number 1 food to avoid was red meat. Number 2, butter and margarine. Again, if you're keto, you're probably eating butter and doing well with it, but it's a suggestion that they make. Cheeses, again, for the fat content, I guess, and dairy. Dairy seem to be coming up as something that should be avoided or consumed in smaller quantities. Pastries and sweets, so these are high sugar, very sweet, high sugary, high carbohydrate foods. And then fried and fast foods, because the fat content isn't really, it's not a healthy dose of fat. It's not what we're trying to feed the body. So that's the CBS News Mind Diet. And I just found it very interesting because I can take that information and read it and then cross-reference it with, an expert who talks about the paleo diet or the ketogenic diet that also have their evidence or research that supports how those diets can support a healthy brain. So there's a lot out there, and if you were to ask me honestly my opinion about all of this, does nutrition have an impact on brain health? Yes, it absolutely does, because nutrition has an impact on your body, bar none. The bottom line is if you are looking after yourself and taking care of yourself, you automatically, by default, increase your chances of living a healthier life, living a longer, healthier life, and sustaining a higher quality of life into your senior years. The better care you take of yourself, the better life you will enjoy as you get older. If you choose to abuse yourself, things are going to happen. It might, unless you're one of the lucky ones, like, you can eat bacon and every day, 3 times a day, your whole life, and it doesn't seem to affect you. But ultimately, looking after yourself, making solid, healthy choices with your nutrition is going to definitely have an impact. If you or someone you love or know has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's or dementia or some brain, like a mental health illness, all of a sudden making a huge change in diet is not going to cure it. Making some changes can possibly slow progression down, might help them have a few more lucid, clearer days. But once that is in motion, it is in motion. How quickly it progresses or doesn't is largely independent. It varies from person to person. So my best advice that I can give you is to take care of yourself always. You might not be able to avoid something that's coming, but you can certainly increase your chances of living longer, living healthier, living happier, if what you're doing for your body and putting in your body is really good, is really healthy, and are great choices. Hey, thank you very much for joining me today and listening to the video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and please check out our other great videos on our channel. Subscribe if you haven't already. We got fantastic content. There's lots in there. You're gonna love it. Any comments or questions, put them below. I love to hear from you, and I will answer your questions. Thanks for joining me. Have a fabulous day.